Hi, thanks for joining me at Gilbhub TV. Today I want to talk about getting a website. Now, if you are self-employed like me, if you are a freelancer, or really if you're doing anything where you want to put something out into the world, the chances are you need to have a website. And the reason for that is that everyone nowadays will look you up online. It's the first thing they'll do. So if you meet someone, whether it be socially or during business networking, if you give them your details and you tell them who you are, they're going to go and type your name into Google. And they might find your LinkedIn, they might find your social media channels, but the best thing you can have really is a website because it brings all of those things together. So I have Twitter, I have LinkedIn, I have Facebook, I have Google+, I have YouTube, I have all of those kinds of social media channels, but they all come back to my website. And what I mean by that is that I link things from my social media to my website. So you'll find my website address on each and every one of my profiles and in some of the content that I'm posting. But also my website has links to all of my social media. So if you Google my name, Hannah Gilbert, and especially if you Google Hannah Gilbert Gilbhub or Hannah Gilbert Copywriter, you should find me. And whether you find me through any one of those channels, they'll all, one way or another, come back to the website. And that's important to me because my website is my portfolio. So if you want people to find you online and you want to make sure that they find the right things about you, then get a website and give a little bit of thought to what kind of website you're going to have. So for me, it's essentially a portfolio. It's a place for me to show the world who I am, what I'm doing, a bit of my personality is on there, but also quite professional because I'm using my website for professional purposes. So I have a portfolio website that has lots of examples of my writing and also some photography and videos that I make because they all kind of relate and tie in to the services that I'm selling. So my website has a predominant navigation that has in it videos, blog, which is obviously relevant as a writer, and portfolio, which has the photography and the examples of client projects that I've worked on. So if you're selling a service such as writing or design or web development or anything like that, photography, you might want to have a portfolio-based website. Photographers, while I'm on that, might want slightly different because you do have a portfolio, but it's more of a photography-based portfolio. Similarly, if you are an animator or motion graphics or video production, you might have a website which is tailored far more to the visual and the gallery style. If you are just starting out and perhaps you're not ready to talk about yourself on a professional level yet, you might just have a blog website, which is just a running stream of content that you've created in whatever speciality you have. If you are a bit more established as a business and you're selling something, for example, craft items or books or even service packages or website templates or things like that, you might have an e-commerce website. So that's another option, something where people can actually log on and buy your products through the website. So there's lots and lots of different options. There's loads of options of different types of website you can have. But what's important is that you have one, because when people find your name or find out about you, the first thing they will do is look you up. So you want to make sure you're there in the stratosphere and that what they find is what you want them to see. So once you've decided what type of website you want to have, there are different options for how to go about creating one. So if you're new to this, completely new to this, and perhaps you don't have a very big budget, there are free options out there. So there's loads of website companies which are free, where you can just use a template or a set of templates and maybe choose your colours and then put your own content in. And they all have different levels to which you can customise what you're doing, but they're all pretty simple but pretty good. So if you Google for free website templates, you'll find all these companies. Some examples are Freewebs.com, they do websites. I think you can also do e-commerce websites through them. So all the different types of website that I've just mentioned, you can do to some extent through these free companies. Wordpress, of course, is another big one, especially if you're going to be blogging or if a blog is part of what you're doing. But even if not, WordPress is a great platform to use for any website. Blogger, of course, is another one if you're just blogging. But WordPress is really like an industry standard, I believe, for this kind of thing. So that's a good place to start if you're looking for something free. You can also, usually with these services, pay to upgrade. So you can start off free, and then if you decide that you want to have more customization or more content than you're able to have with the free package, there's usually an option to upgrade and start paying a monthly subscription or something similar to get more out of your website. Now, what I've done is a stage on from that. Because I'm setting myself up as a professional and I do have a certain amount of budget to work with, I want to make sure that my website does everything that I need it to do. So I use a WordPress platform with a designed template on top of it. So every time I update my website, I use a WordPress CMS, content management system, which is great for me because it's easy to use. You don't have to be a web developer or a web designer to use it. Anyone can use it. It's very simple. And it works exactly like my free WordPress blog used to work. So I was quite familiar with it before I even had this website. Now, what I've done on top of that is to purchase a theme. So you can go to places like ThemeForest, I'll put a link below, which have a range of themes, like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of themes from professional web designers. And they will have created these, and they'll also keep continuing to update them. And you can buy them or pay a fixed rate per month to have them on your website. Now, to go a step further than that, you can get a developer or designer, web developer or web designer, to customize the theme. So in my case, I've gone to ThemeForest. I have a theme called Impreza on my website, which sits on top of the WordPress CMS platform. And the Impreza theme originally was bright pink and white. That's how it kind of came, like out of the box, as it were. What I've done is work with a web designer / developer to customize it to not only my brand colours and logo and imagery, but also the format and the design. And it's pretty customizable anyway, to be honest, but we've tweaked a bit with the CSS and various other coding to make it kind of exactly how I want it. So that's cost a little bit of money, so you do need a bit of a budget to do that, but it's not being hugely expensive. It's generally a pretty good way to go about things, and it's also useful because the CMS for me is so important, because I want to be able to update things regularly. So every time I have a new video, I want to put that on there. Every time I update my blog, every time I update my portfolio, I can do that really easily, and the chances of me messing anything up are pretty slim. So that's a good way to go. If you do have a bit of money to spend, that's a good option. Now, once you've got your website up and running, or actually before you've got it up and running, but once you've decided on what you're doing and you're working on it behind the scenes, you need to think about what's going to go on your website. Now, as I was saying earlier, it depends to an extent on what it is you're offering and what it is that you want to put out in the world as to what format you have. So if you're more visual, photography or design, you might have more of a gallery style website. If you're more to do with writing, then you might focus more on things like a portfolio or a blog. So key things that you want to consider are a homepage, obviously, which is where people land. Some information, which is the About Me, which doesn't have to be a separate page. Sometimes people prefer to do it that way, but on my website it's actually on the homepage. You might want a portfolio of your work if it's that kind of business. You might want a blog. A blog is always great, even if you're not into writing. If writing isn't your thing, it's still good to have a blog, just because it's a really good way of positioning yourself as an expert in the industry that you're in. So even if you're working in makeup or something like that, beauty and fashion industry, a blog where you write about those topics and show your experience and your expertise and your knowledge will help to back up your credibility as a beautician. So a blog, whatever you're doing, is a good idea, but it's not essential. Contact information is essential if you want people to use your website to get in touch with you, whether it's links to your social media, links to an email pop-up, phone number, whatever it is, put it on there. I wouldn't advise putting an address unless you have an established business office address, just for privacy reasons on the internet. But there's plenty of contact information that you could put on your website that will allow people to get in contact with you easily. You could even set up a contact form, so it's just one click and it goes through to your email address, which is what I have on my website. So that's essential, and think about your navigation as well. So if you want people to come to your website and then get in touch with you to buy your services or whatever it is, then they need to be able to do that easily. So your navigation needs to make that easy for them. No website works well if people have to work hard to use it. The best websites are the ones where you arrive and instantly you can see where everything is and what you need to do to see what you need to see. So if someone finds me from a random Google search for the very first time, my website lets them know who I am and what I do instantly. It's the first thing you see. So there's no question of, well, who is this person, what am I doing here? If they thought that, they'd probably leave. So you need to be really clear about who you are and what you're offering straight away. Then if people go, great, okay, copywriter, that's exactly what I need. Where can I see what she's done? There needs to be a really clear place, which there is on my website, for your portfolio or examples of your work. So usually people will look in the top bar. It doesn't have to be there, but that's a traditional place with websites, so people will tend to look at the top to see the navigation. So I've got my portfolio, and then if people like what they see, if perhaps they've already met me and they know what I'm doing and they are convinced that I'm a good writer, they might just be coming to my website to get in touch with me. And again, I want to make that easy for them. I don't want people to be looking at the website thinking, this is great, I'd love her to write for me, but no idea how to tell her, because people are going to get bored and they're going to go away and find someone else. So there needs to be contact information and it needs to be clear. So a clear navigation at the top, or if you've got a scrolling website like mine, there's contact information at the bottom as well. So if you've looked through and you're happy with everything you've seen, contact information is what you're left with. Just make sure it's clear and it's easy to use. So if you're looking for inspiration for your website, please have a look at mine, which is www.gilbhub.com. I will put the link below. People who I meet all the time look me up online, and 90% of the time they come back to me and say that they love my website. Even if they have no interest in websites generally and they're just talking to me because they need some writing done, people tend to go out of their way to email me or tell me when they see me that they really like my website. And things that people say they like are the fact that it's easy to use and the design. They say it's really engaging, it's really clear, it's really nicely presented, and that it's most importantly easy for them to use and navigate and find what they need to find. So as I was saying, really, it's just important to marry those two things, make it visually appealing, make it clear what you're offering, who you are, make sure it's obvious that they're in the right place when they get there, and then make it easy to use to actually click between the pages and to ultimately get in contact with you. So that's something that I get a lot of positive feedback for. So if you are looking for an example of the kind of stuff that I've been talking about here, please go check out my website, gilbhub.com. And you can also check out all of my social media, which you will find linked on my website. But if you want a starting place, you can check me out on Twitter, which is @HannahGilb. And obviously, if you're looking at me on YouTube right now, then there will be a link below the video to my website too, and then back from my website to here. So it's all one big web. But hopefully that will give you an idea of the kind of things that I've been describing in this video. So get in touch with me, leave me a message, leave me a comment below the video or on my website or on Twitter, and let me know what you thought of this video. If you've got a website and you've got some extra tips on this kind of thing, please leave them below, because I'm sure anyone watching this video would be interested to see them. And if you are just about to build your own website, then good luck, all the best for that, and I hope this video has been useful for you.